These 2 bundles of roses have been hydrating, drinking water for the last couple of hours, so now I'm going to show you how to clean them. So it doesn't matter the color of rose, this technique is the same. All these videos are the same, no matter if you're getting a box of green and pink roses or orange and red, it's all the same technique. So at this point now, it's time to remove the rubber bands. And I like to just undo them both at the same time. Take the plastic off. And now I'm going to just take these, I'm going to grab the whole thing and I'm going to remove the layers of paper and cardboard in between. So you can't see all of the roses at first glance because there's a whole other layer in here deep. Okay, these look great. Stems are really quite clean. There's not a lot of thorns on this variety. Every variety is slightly different. Some are thornier than others. This variety looks thornier. So, same thing. Oh, these pink. The pink and green are so pretty together. Okay, so now I have my roses here. So, this is going to take a little bit more time to do this correctly, but it's worth the time. You're going to have a successful, long-lasting rose if you follow these techniques. Have your garden cutters and have a flower knife. If you do not have a flower knife, a sharp paring knife will work as well. Have your buckets of water off to the side, no flower food in them. And you're going to take it one stem at a time. I'm going to leave the top few leaves on, but I'm going to remove any broken ones. This one here is broken, so it comes off. And I usually just like to leave 2 leaves. So what I generally do is go through and do this to all of them at once. Careful not to stab yourself with the thorns. You can see that these are pretty thorny. And then just you make a nice pile of these semi-cleaned roses. You can do this with your finger. The next step is, you know what, I'm gonna go in here and take the guard petals off. So if you look closely here, all these roses, both varieties, and every no matter what color it's going to have this, have these outer petals that are crinkled, they're a little discolored, they're a little tougher, and you want to take those off. These are called guard petals, and they do exactly that. They guard the rest of the rose. And by removing these, not only are they less attractive, it will now let this rose open up large. Now, some of these South American varieties, like this green one, they don't open up so big. They're going to open up a little bit. Other varieties will open larger. So you can go through and just remove the guard petals. That's step 1. Now, I have one right here. I want to show you this because you may come in contact with this. So this rose here has not been cleaned. The guard petals are a little chewed up. But if you look here, there is a little piece of rot right there, okay? This happens. It's just part of it. It's this brown speck right there. That's inside. I'm getting in there and removing it. This is called botrytis, and this is a disease. And if you do not remove it, it will spread to all the roses. So it's really important to go through and remove any botrytis petals, and then just these outer petals remove, and that's that. Okay, so now it's time to dethorn them. So this is the easiest way to do this. Get your paring knife or your kitchen knife and put your roses firmly on the countertop. Hold it with your finger and thumb, and you're gonna get in there with your knife and you're just gonna pick these things off just like that. You can kind of spin the rose stem with your fingers, and you're just going down and you're just taking them off one at a time. They break off cleanly. Now I have a stem that has no thorns. It's very smooth. Let me do this other pink one. Go in there, I'm gonna take my knife and just pick them off one at a time. Okay. Now, the next and most important step is, we've already cut these once when we got them out of the package, and we did a very quick chop. It was not at a 45-degree angle. It was just to get them in water. Now you want to do something to spend a little bit more time. So you can do one of 2 things. You can take your cutters and you can go up about an inch from the bottom. Now I'm going to do a little cut here to show you. You want to have a 45-degree angle, just like that. See all the surface area? If you do a cut like that, you don't have nearly the amount of surface area. So obviously the more surface area of stem tissue, the more absorption of water you're gonna have. So I'm doing a sharp cut just like that. Step 2. This goes with any roses. When you're cutting the stem of roses, you're gonna do a sharp cut and you are immediately going to put it in water. You are not going to answer the phone. You're not gonna go pop a load of laundry in the wash. You're gonna cut it and drop it. You have about 2 or 3 seconds to get that fresh cut into the water. So the whole point of that is when you cut the stem, this tissue takes a big gulp of air and it causes an air bubble. Now, if you've ever received roses or bought roses for yourself and after a day or two, the heads fell over, that's called hooking. What happens is that air bubble makes its way all the way up, and in a day or two, it's gonna go right there and it's gonna cause that rose to hook. So to avoid that, you can do what I just did, sharp cut. Within 3 or 4 seconds, get that in the water. Do not allow much air at all to go in there. Another thing that sort of die-hard florists do, you can experiment with, I don't do it because it takes too much time, is you can also take the rose and you can take a shallower pan or a vase or something and you can literally sharp cut it underwater, and there's zero risk of that air bubble happening. Anytime you cut a rose, whether you're cleaning them like this or whether you're cutting it to put in your arrangement, this rule applies. When you're making your arrangement, don't cut it and lollygag around. If you need to buy yourself some more time, you'll cut it, you'll dip it in water. Now this is moist and you have a few seconds before it really needs to go in the water. Okay, so that is how you clean your roses. I'll be back in a few minutes and I'll show you how to make some arrangements. They can stay like this for another, even a day and open up more before you start making arrangements. So these roses are a little bit hardier and longer lasting than a lot of the more fragile summer blooms. I like them because roses are so summery and they're kind of one of the beefier flowers. A lot of times summer blooms tend to be more delicate or wildflowerish, and so these travel better, and I'm excited to see what your experience is with them and come back and we'll make some arrangements.